Well, it's time for another
Perfect.
special guest now on today's show, and I've had this lady on before, pop sensation Stacey Jackson, joining me for a re-interview here on the Danny Sun Show. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's always great to be on the show.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you on. I can't believe how quick time has gone since we last spoke, and you released the
Yeah.
your previous single, which was a success. Your new track as well is called the Flipside. Can you tell me just a
Yep,
little bit
Flipside.
more about this track?
Oh wow, there's a bit of a story here, so I'll tell you the history. So, over lockdown, I guess I had spoken to you when we released the record with Snoop Dogg, but I was continuing to write stuff, and growing up in the '80s, I've always had this like influence of '80s music. In fact, a lot of the covers that I do are of '80s music. And then around the time I spoke to you, I just landed the presenting gig for Stacey Jackson in the '80s on Sky, and I've now 40 episodes later. Honestly, I've written 40 episodes. Right before they launched this show, they were obviously needed some music for the opening of the show, and they were originally going to use a stock, 1980s record, and I don't know if I was overstepping my mark, but I went to the executive producers and I'm like, well, actually, I just wrote this song. Weirdly, it had like a whole '80s vibe and everything, and maybe it'll work. And I gave it to them, and sure enough, they were like, "Oh my god, we love this! Is perfect. Let's use this." So. I was going to say the rest is history, but actually, what started happening was kind of like as the show progressed, people were contacting me through my social media or Spotlight TV and going, "What song is this? Where can we get this song? Or who wrote this song? What is this?" Because it sounds like it's '80s, but it's not, right? So we were like, "Oh my god, maybe we need to actually release the record because there was no, you couldn't purchase it." So yeah, so that's the historical context of the record. So yeah, now it's available everywhere.
Oh, fabulous. Looking at the comments across the social media, it's well received, saying it's infectious, up tempo, upbeat, gets you in a good mood. And reading here, the flip side is has empowering lyrics, being true to
Yeah.
yourself as well, and taking just a little bit of a risk in life as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it sort of like, it was during lockdown, so I was very lucky. I had my kids at home and, but, it's interesting as a working parent, it's really hard to juggle. And I just had this conversation with someone today because it's always the topic of like my day. Everybody wants a piece of me. Everybody, but forget the kids, but it's whether or not you're working or if you're a daughter or you're a wife or a husband or whatever, like, you know, there's you have to really focus on you at some point. You can't compromise what's important to you in order to be a better you, even if it means taking risks, because those risks are what's, you'll never know if you don't try. And frankly, if you aren't a happy you, then you'll never be able to be a happy wife, mother, daughter, son, husband, whatever. Like, you have to have what's going to make you happy in the world. And I guess that's even in the lyrics, the first opening line is, "If I had a superpower, I'd split myself in two," because it's exactly where my mind was at the time when I wrote it. I'm like, oh my god, if I could only be in two places at once. So that's the history of the song.
So, whatever opportunity life gives you, take it.
Absolutely, because life is too short, and it's never too late to reinvent yourself, live your dream, try something that you didn't think that could ever happen, because you just don't want to be, especially after these 2 years of what we've all been going through. Life is short, and too short to be stuck on a Zoom call. Like, you've got to live whatever you can of that life, and try things, because you just don't know what in life will make you happy. Being stuck in that box is it's not great for your mental health, and like I said, life is too short.
And the flip side, in the 80s, a flip side used to be an alternative way to call the B side to the cassette tape as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or a vinyl
Yes.
record. It would be the A side and the B side, or we'd call it flip side. Yeah, because it's funny that you said that because there were a couple of reasons why we wrote that. I mean, obviously it's the chorus, but it's about someone who actually is doing something completely different to what they thought that they would ever actually be doing. I mean, I thought, I started my music career. I mean, I've always been in bands and singing since I was like 11, or 15, really. But after I had children, I didn't think that it would happen for me. And I gave it a go. And this is like a second chance, So I kind of, and there are a lot of records, actually. It's funny because there are a lot of records that actually their Flipside was even better than the single that they put out. But you're younger than me, so you probably don't even remember the Flipside.
I did catch the tail end of the 80s, so I was lucky in that aspect. But onto this record as well. Who did you have the privilege of working with on this Flipside?
Oh, so I love this guy, Ramsey Slayman. He's worked with like mega talent. The Overtones is one of his latest projects, and I've written a few songs with him actually, and one of them is on my fitness record, Stay Pumped. It's called Chasing the Dream. But this one came very easy to us. Like we were sitting in the studio and he was just playing some chords and the top line came like instantly to me. Like, and I was humming, the tune. I don't know. I just had this tune in my head and then the lyrics just came and it was just easy. I found this song just kind of rolled out of my brain. So yeah, and he's so wonderful to work with. Also, he's super talented. So yeah, I'm very fortunate.
And if people go on like YouTube, but there is a music video to accompany the track. I like in the retro dancing, like the body popping and the break dancing. It's good to see that vibes again.
Yeah. Very 80s vibe. I'm not even in the video, actually. It was, we just wanted it to have that feel. And I mean, no matter how hard I try, even on my television show, they're like, oh, are you wearing neon and shoulder pads and like the big headbands? And I'm like, no, I'm a TV presenter. Okay. Like I am not a gimmick. Although this week, this episode, I am doing something fun on this week's episode in particular, because I'm doing like fitness songs in the 80s. So I am playing it up on this week's episode, but normally I'm not in the neon and I'm not dressed in crazy 80s. I have to say, like, I love nostalgically looking back on the 80s fashion, but it's not something that I think I would be doing now.
And you mentioned keeping fit, working out. How important is that for your well-being, your mental health, dancing?
Well, I love exercise. I mean, for me, it is non-negotiable. It's like brushing my teeth. It's like I have to work out, and every day I do something. And it just is it's my time. B, it gives me, it keeps me young, energetic. At least inside. And I just I feel that like music and fitness are very synonymous. Obviously, like for me, I just need to pop my earphones in and move, and the faster the beat, the faster I move. And I just absolutely think that especially what's been going on in the past couple of years, it was very hard. People like locked in like their room or in an apartment or whatever in a small space, and getting out and moving is really super important for everyone's mental health. I have to say it. I'm no expert in how this sort of chemical thing works in your head and the brain and the endorphins and the adrenaline and all that stuff, but it actually is true, because when I exercise, I feel like a better person all around. So I'm a very big supporter of exercise.
And you mentioned, okay, the last 2 years haven't been the greatest for everyone, but 2022 does sound slightly better number. I'm not sure if I'm getting into things there, but 2022, you obviously singer, songwriter, TV presenter, but I hear you do a bit of authoring as well. Is there a book on the way this year?
Yes, there is a book on the way. So we're toying with the title right now. I think you have a working title, and but I we are going to be launching this book. It is a fictionalized book, loosely based on my life, but she's a widow in the book. Basically, it's about a woman who's like trying to navigate at her age, her career in the music industry with teenage kids at home and all the trials and tribulations of being who she is. And, how she juggles it all. And yeah, so we're hoping that book, oh, my dog, my dog just came up. And we're trying to just juggle, we're going to hopefully launch it this summer. So I do plan on coming back on your show again.
Brilliant.
To talk about the book in more depth.
Thank you so much for joining me. I know you're a very busy lady and taking the time to talk to me about your new track. You're on all the. It's good to see you on all the socials as well. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Thank you.
And Stacey Jackson, we're going to get your record played now on my show. And no doubt
Great.
We'll do another catch-up interview in the very near future.
Oh, thanks. It was lovely being here again. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.